You do not need a six-figure salary to build your first $100,000. What you need is the right strategy. Because two people can invest the same general amount of money over time, and one of them still reaches $100,000 years earlier. Not because they got lucky, not because they picked the perfect stock, but because they used a system that combines math, consistency, and momentum. And that matters because your first $100,000 is the hardest. It is the point where compounding starts doing real work. It is the line between I'm trying to build wealth and my money is now helping me build wealth. So in this video, I'm going to show you 4 ways people try to reach their first $100,000, why most of them waste years, and the strategy that can get you there up to 8 years faster. Most people think building $100,000 starts with finding the best investment. It doesn't. It starts with fixing the broken system most people use. Here's what usually happens. They invest only when they have money left at the end of the month. Some months they put in $300. Some months it's $0. Sometimes they wait for the perfect time to enter the market. Sometimes they leave cash sitting in the bank because investing feels risky. The result is brutal. The average beginner spends years stuck in the first stage because they are inconsistent, underfunded, and always restarting. And when your system depends on motivation, fear, or market headlines, your money never compounds the way it should. That is why the first $100,000 can take 15, 20, even 25 years for some people. But with the right structure, that timeline can drop dramatically. Let's break down the strategies. This is the strategy most people use without even realizing it. They pay bills, spend what they need, spend what they want, and then invest whatever is left. Sounds harmless, but it is financially deadly. Because whatever is left usually means investing is the last priority, not the first. And when life gets expensive, investing disappears. Let's say someone averages $150 a month into investments and occasionally skips months. Even with a decent long-term return, reaching $100,000 could still take around 20 to 22 years. That's 2 decades to hit a number that should be the starting line for real wealth creation. And the worst part is not just the slow growth. It is the lost compounding. Because the money you delay today is the money that never gets the extra 10, 15, or 20 years to grow. This strategy feels flexible, but it is actually expensive. It gives you maximum freedom in the short term and maximum delay in the long term. If your plan is to invest what is left over, you are not on a wealth-building system. You are on a hope-based system. Now let's move to a smarter strategy. This person sets up automatic investing and contributes the same amount every month, no matter what the market is doing. That is already a huge upgrade. Why? Because consistency beats intensity when intensity is unsustainable. If you invest $400 every single month into a broad market index fund, you remove emotion from the process and let time do the heavy lifting. At that pace, hitting $100,000 might take around 12 to 13 years, assuming long-term market-like returns. That is much better than 20 years. This strategy works because it fixes the biggest mistake from the leftover method: inconsistency. But it still has one weakness. It stays flat. Your income grows over time. Your skills improve. Your career hopefully advances. But if your investing stays frozen at the same level year after year, you are not using your full capacity. This is a good strategy. It is disciplined. It is efficient. But it is not aggressive enough if your goal is to compress the timeline. Now let's talk about the strategy that wins on motivation. Instead of focusing only on the final $100,000, this person builds around visible milestones. First $1,000 invested, then $5,000, then $10,000, then $25,000, then $50,000. Same investing habit, same monthly contributions, but the structure is different. This matters because wealth building is not just math. It is behavior. When people cannot see progress, they quit. When the goal feels too far away, they lose energy. But when they hit visible checkpoints, they stay engaged. So maybe this person invests $450 to $500 a month and tracks each milestone like a game. They celebrate each level, stay motivated, and keep going instead of stopping after 6 months. That could bring the first $100,000 timeline down to roughly 10 to 11 years. Not because the market changed, not because the returns are magical, but because the system kept the person in the game. And staying in the game matters more than having the perfect plan that you abandon. This is why psychological wins are powerful. Small victories create momentum. Momentum creates consistency. Consistency creates wealth. This is the strategy that changes everything. It combines mathematical efficiency with psychological momentum. Here's how it works. First, automate a strong base contribution every month. Let's say $500. Second, increase that contribution by 10% every year. So next year it becomes $550. Then about $605. Then higher again. Third, invest windfalls. Tax refunds, bonuses, side income, freelance money. Instead of spending those cash injections, direct them into the portfolio. Fourth, keep milestone tracking so the process stays emotionally rewarding. Now you have the best of both worlds. You have automation, so the system runs without needing constant motivation. You have contribution growth, so your investing rises with your income instead of staying stuck. You have windfall investing, which creates sudden jumps in progress. And you have visible milestones, which keep your psychology strong. With this kind of hybrid strategy, reaching $100,000 can drop to around 6 to 8 years. That is the difference. Not 20 years. Not 12 years. But potentially 6 to 8 years. That means you are not just reaching $100,000 faster. You are unlocking the compounding phase earlier. And once that happens, the second $100,000 often comes much faster than the first. This is why the hybrid strategy wins. It is not just one good habit. It is multiple wealth-building forces stacked together. Most people think investing success comes from picking better assets. In reality, for most beginners, success comes from contribution power. The market helps, yes. But in the beginning, your behavior matters more than your portfolio sophistication. If you automate contributions, increase them as your income rises, and keep adding money during key moments of the year, you create a system that is very hard to fail with. And that is the secret. The best strategy is not the one that looks smartest on paper. It is the one that keeps working in real life. That is why this hybrid model is so powerful. It respects the math, but it also respects human behavior. Because if a strategy ignores psychology, most people will not stick with it long enough to benefit from the math. Here is the part most people underestimate. Every extra $100 per month matters way more than they think. Not just because it adds $100, but because it adds $100 every month, compounds over time, and shortens the journey dramatically. A simple way to think about it is this. Every extra $100 per month can cut roughly 1 to 2 years off your journey to the first $100,000, depending on your starting point and return assumptions. That is why tiny upgrades matter. A canceled subscription, a cheaper car payment, one extra freelance project per month, a raise that gets redirected instead of absorbed into lifestyle inflation. These small changes do not just increase your investing amount. They buy back years. And once you understand that, you stop looking at an extra $100 like a small amount. You start seeing it as a time machine. Let's make this real. Imagine one person starting from zero. Strategy 1. They invest only what is left over, averaging about $150 a month. Their first $100,000 could take more than 20 years. Strategy 2. They automate $400 a month into a broad index fund. Now the timeline drops closer to 12 to 13 years. Strategy 3. They invest $450 to $500 a month and use milestone tracking to stay locked in. Now they are around 10 to 11 years. Strategy 4. They automate $500 a month, increase it 10% each year, and invest occasional windfalls. Now the timeline could fall to around 6 to 8 years. Same person, same goal, completely different result. That is the power of strategy. Because wealth is not only about how much you earn. It is about how intelligently your system converts income into invested capital. So here is the takeaway. If you want your first $100,000 faster, stop asking, what should I invest in? Start asking, what system will keep me investing bigger amounts for years without quitting? That is the real game. Build the automatic base. Increase it every year. Invest windfalls. Track milestones. And make the process so simple that you can follow it even on low motivation days. Because the people who reach $100,000 first are usually not the smartest in the room. They are the ones who built a system that keeps going. And if you do that, your first $100,000 stops being a dream number. It becomes a timeline.